लास्ट क्लास में हमने बताया था क्या कि डॉकर को विंडोज पे कैसे इंस्टॉल करेंगे और इंट्रोडक्शन दिया था. सो नाउ onwards हाउ टू इंस्टॉल द डॉकर्स ऑन द लिनक्स मशीन, राइट? सो टुडे onwards we will start how to install docker on linux machine. So for that we have to create on image amazon linux machine. हम डायरेक्ट लैब पे आ गए. लैब पे आने के बाद हम EC2 पे आएंगे, EC2 सर्विस पे आएंगे एक्चुअली. देन एक इंस्टेंस क्रिएट करेंगे, राइट? सो लॉन्च इंस्टेंस, click on launch instance. Now we have to create one docker engine or docker server we can put over here. So I put it one name, docker server, as a service name, a server name like instance name, and select amazon linux, and everything will be default. Then after that we have to create one key pair for this server, accessing this server docker server which we have to create. So we have to create one key pair. So create new key pair, click on create new key pair and docker key. We name the key pair is docker key, and we have to select ppk, then create on key pair. Now we have to select the security group. Either we can select the security group, existing security group, or we can create the new one security group, right? After selecting security group, we have to enable the https, right? Or actually for the docker it's not required, right? But still we can enable https traffic for this docker server, right, which we have to create. Now everything will be default, and we have to we have to launch the instances. After after launching the instances, we have to click on view all instances. We have to refresh over here. Then instance docker server, instance name is docker server, instance id is last one AA2D, instance is in running state, and but status is still initializing, right? So we have to check, we have to wait for the 2 minutes for updating the status 2 by 2. So we have to click on refresh button. So instance is created, a status is 2 by 2 check. So we have to access this instances. So first we have to go to the putty, and we have to click on the instances details and copy the public IP of these instances. Now we have to click on SSH, then click on auth, then we have to click on browse, then we have to click on the docker key which we have created right now. Once selecting the docker key which we have created earlier, then we have to click on open, then we have to click on accept. Now we have to need to resize the font. So we have to click on putty settings, then appearance, then change. Then we have to increase the font size of this terminal. So now it's visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. So first time we are logging on this terminal on the EC2 instances which we have created. So first time user will be the default user of the Amazon Linux is EC2-user. So once putting the EC2-user as a username, then console will open. I mean the Linux Amazon Linux console will open, right? Then after that we have to update this Amazon Linux, right? So we have to put the command yum update -y. It's not basically we are getting error. What is error? This command has to be run with the super user privilege, right? For the super user privilege, we have to put the command sudo su. Super user, that means root user. Privilege required for this updating the instances, right? We can also write a command over here for the sudo user as sudo yum update -y. Nothing to do here is showing nothing to do. It's updated. I mean the patch is updated of the operating system which we have accessing right now, right? The Amazon Linux. So we have to for the super user privilege, we have to either go to the sudo privileges. I mean the first we have to write sudo, then we have to run the commands, right? Otherwise we have to go to the root privilege. For the root privilege you have to write the commands sudo su, just sudo and super user. You have to write, then it will go to the root privilege, root user. We have to install the docker over here. Press the Ctrl L, it will be clear. Then after that we have to write a command for installing docker. So yum install docker -y, right? Just we have to put the command over yum install docker-y, and Docker will be installed in this system. Now press Ctrl L. Now we have to check that Docker is installed on this system or not. So we have to just write a commands docker -- version. Now it's showing Docker version is 25.0.5. And suppose that we have to check which path Docker is installed, right? Which directory Docker is installed. Then we have to write a command which Docker. So Docker is installed on bin directory, USR directory under the USR bin directory under the bin Docker is there. So after installing the Dockers, we have to check Docker is started or not, right? That means running or not. So we have to check for this Docker. That means a Docker daemon. We are talking about Docker daemon, right? We have to write a command service Docker status, right? Now we have to see that Docker is inactive, right? Dead. That means the Docker daemon is not started, right? So need to start the Docker daemon first after installing the Docker over the instances, right? So for that, service Docker start.
Service. You wrote server.
Service Docker start. Now we have to check the what is the status of the service Docker status. Service Docker status. Now Docker is running, active and running. Now we have to press the Q button, right? It will be quit from here, right? Control L, then press the Control L, it will be clear, right? So there is no images right now in this Docker daemon, on this Docker daemon. So we suppose that we have to check the any images at current available or not. For that, for in the Docker daemon, so we have to put the command Docker images. So here it shows repository is free, tag image ID created and size. Nothing is there, right? No images is there, right? Under this Docker daemon, right? So suppose that we have to pull any images from the Docker hub. So we have to put the command Docker pull. Suppose Jenkins, we have to pull from the Docker hubs. So name we have to provide the latest, right? Docker pull Ubuntu. So now we have pull the Docker images, I mean the Ubuntu images from the Docker hub, right? Now we have to check the images downloaded in Docker daemon or not. Then we for that we have to write a command Docker images only. Now Ubuntu is there. Now we have to press Ctrl+L. Once Docker is installed and Docker status is up and running, then we have to create the container over this Docker daemon, right? So for that, we have to write a command Docker run --it --name and container name we have to provide, right? For my case, suppose that I'm providing web server and which operating system required for this web server, suppose that Ubuntu. Then we have to write a bin/bash. Right, this is basically bash. I'll explain later. Right, just we have to put over here bin bash. Right, now in this command Docker, we have to write a Docker, then run, then iterative. That means any containers on the Docker daemon. If you want to run the any container of the Docker daemon, then we have to write the flags -i on the terminal. Which terminal you want to run the Docker daemon, right? And the server name is web server. The web server, that means the container which we are going to create, and that container name will be the web server, and the which operating system required for this container, that is the Ubuntu. Then after that bin-bash we have to write. Now flag is -it. We have to give the flag on single hyphen, not a double. So Docker is container is created. And what is a container? Whenever we have to run this command, right? Docker run -it. That means that Docker will create the container of the container, and container name will be web server, and operating system will be Ubuntu, right? So in this case, when you run the command and flags, we have to give the -it. what will happen? Docker will create Docker daemon will create one container, and we will go inside that container. So this is the container ID. So in this case, container created over the Docker daemon, and suppose that we have to exit, right? Press the Control plus L button, then clear the screen. Now we have to write a command Docker PS. Docker PS, that means the any running container it will show over here. If we write a command Docker PS -a, it will show the stopped containers, right? Here you can see the container name is web server and container ID is this one. Image is Ubuntu. Command is bin bash. Bash, that means scripting, it's running, right? Created 2 minutes back ago and exited, right? Now I've created the Docker container, and after container we have exited, right? 36 seconds ago it's exited. So it's in a stopped mode, right? So two commands is running, right? Docker ps-a, it shows the stopped or running status of the container, right? And Docker PS only shows the stop status of the container. Right now, no container is running on. So suppose that we have to start this container. So how to start this container? Because container is a stop and exited mode right now. So we have to write a command Docker start and container name. We have to provide the container name, right? Or we have to provide the container ID. So anything will be put, it will be start. So now web server is started, right? Now we have to check the Docker PS. So Docker PS, after running the command Docker PS, the one container is running, right? Which name is name server, and it is a started mode. Status is up, and 8 second time is 8 second ago. It's started, right? Now again run this command. Now it's 27 seconds, right? For this containers. Okay. Now we have to create another container. So we have to write a command Docker run -it, and we have to write the name of the container. Then we have to write the name over here. This is syntax. Then give the container name. Suppose that database. Database is the container name. On which operating system we want to create. Then we have to click on Docker Hub. After visiting the Docker Hub URL hub.docker.com, we have to search over the operating system, like, right, our application which we want to create the container, right? So for that, suppose that I'm typing over here CentOS. Clicking the CentOS, the CentOS image is there, right? So just we have to click the copy the right name. We have to copy the name, right? Then bin bash. See, after running the command, right, Docker run -it -name database is the container name, and CentOS is the operating system, right? Which we want to run over the container. Name the database, right? So here these are unable to find the images CentOS latest locally. It shows the message first one, right? That means the first time if the images is not stored in the Docker images folder, now we have to exit one. The CentOS is there, right? What will happen? First time whenever we pull the images, or we run the Docker commands, right, to create the container, then first time they will pull the Docker images from the Docker Hub and put in the local folder. Then after that, after pulling the Docker images from the Docker Hub, then we'll start to create the container, start to run or create the containers. Got my point? What will happen in the Docker file? Suppose that this one the instances, right, which we have created for the Docker server, right? Docker server. Under the instance, its OS is running, that is Amazon Linux. After the running the Amazon Linux, we have installed the Docker daemon, and then after that we have created one containers, that is the operating system is used CentOS OS on this container, and the container name is database. So what will happen whenever we run the command to create the container over the Docker domain, like Docker run hyphen it hyphen name, then container name, then bin bash. So first time whenever run this command to create the container, like in this case CentOS, right? We have to run the command for the creating CentOS, right? So container name we have given, then we have to give the OS name, right? Just like
Yeah,
Ubuntu
operating system.
operating system, right? So first time what will happen whenever the run this command, this operating system, right? Any operating system first time it will download from the Docker Hub. So images is downloaded from the Docker Hub, and the rest of code is taken from the operating system, right? So whenever first time is downloading the Docker Hub, it will store in the local repository of the Docker daemon Ubuntu. क्या होता है कि देखो हमने जो डाउनलोड किया फर्स्ट टाइम रन किया कमांड, राइट? ये जो उबंटू क्या करेगा, उबंटू या कोई भी ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम ये क्या करेगा, डॉकर हब से डाउनलोड करेगा इमेज फाइल, राइट? दैट इज कवर्ड फाइल लास्ट टाइम, कल की क्लास में मैंने बताया था। जो 5% जो फाइल होता है वो डाउनलोड कर लेता है कहाँ से, डॉकर हब से, राइट? और कहाँ रखता है, उबंटू अपने लोकल फोल्डर के अंदर, लोकल डायरेक्टरी के अंदर। कौन रखता है, डॉकर डेमन। और नेक्स्ट टाइम अगर फिर ये कमांड चलाओगे उबंटू के लिए तो ये लोकल चेक नहीं करेगा, लोकल ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है, डायरेक्ट रन कर देगा, स्टार्ट कर देगा, राइट? तो ये क्या करता है, डाउनलोड करने के बाद एक कॉपी यहाँ रख लेता है इस इमेज का, जैसे उबंटू मैंने डाउनलोड किया डॉकर हब से, तो ये कॉपी यहाँ पे रख दिया। और जब क्रिएट कर देगा, कंटेनर क्रिएट कर देगा, तो यहाँ पे भी एक कॉपी रख देगा। अब ये कंटेनर के पास मान लो कि ये 5% यहाँ से डाउनलोड किया और 95% यहाँ से लिया, दोनों मिलके क्या कर दिया, कंटेनर क्रिएट कर दिया। तो ध्यान में रखना फर्स्ट टाइम जब कमांड रन करते हैं तो ये यहाँ से डॉकर हब से डाउनलोड करके एक कॉपी लोकल डायरेक्टरी के अंदर रख लेता है, और आफ्टर क्रिएटिंग द कंटेनर्स दैट कॉपी इज आल्सो स्टोर्ड इन दिस कंटेनर। नाउ वी हैव टू प्रेस कंट्रोल एल, इट्स क्लियर द कंसोल. So we have created the container, we have started the container. Now we have to check Docker container, Docker PS hyphen image hyphen a, right? It shows the only running container, only up container, Docker PS hyphen a. Docker, now Docker PS, it shows the only up and running containers, like web server, it's up and running. Docker PS hyphen a, it shows the running and stopped container. Now there is two containers shows over here. One is container ID D54 and another is F76. And the name of the container, one is database, another is web server. So suppose that we have to start these containers, right? This is the stop containers. We have to start. How to start? We have to create, we have to write the commands docker start container name, right? Here is database. So the container name we can put over here, or container ID also we can put over here. So now it's started. Now we have to check Docker PS hyphen a, both are and up and running. Docker PS, right? Both are up and running. So what will happen once the Docker is stopped, right? Docker PS hyphen a, it shows the all stopped and start container, and Docker PS hyphen a only shows the start container. Any doubt?
One question here, not to cut you off. Now, if I want to stop a container, we need to go inside the container and then do exit, right?
No. So just we have to write Docker
Yeah,
PS, right? It shows the it shows the running container only, right? So and
yeah,
the the age of the container. Now we have to stop this container, right? So
yeah.
just we have to write a command Docker stop container and container ID, container name. It will stop, right? So we have to check Docker PS, right? Only one container is up and running. Now once we have to stop the container, we have to stop all container, right now. Docker stop and container name is web server. Now it's a stopped. Web server is a stopped. Docker yes, it's nothing up and running. And Docker PS hyphen a, now it shows all stopped container exited 130 second, 59 second ago and 19 second ago. Now we have to delete this container, right? So what command will be? Docker, write a command Docker rm and container name, right? Yeah, container ID we can give. Docker ps-a. One container has gone, right? That is database. So for deleting the containers, just we have to write Docker rm and Docker name web server. Docker ps-a. No stop containers. Docker ps, no running containers. So now we have to create one more container. Name is database and operating system will be CentOS and binbash. One container is created and the container ID is 16F last. Now I'm in this under the container. So how to check which operating system is running under this container? For checking, Control L, cat etc, then OS release. So under these containers, which operating system is running, we have to run this command, right? Same command which is running also in a Linux server, right? CentOS, the Imagine Linux, CentOS Linux is running on version is 8, ID is CentOS, flavor is Red Hat Fedora. So details of the operating system which is running under this container is showing over here. Yeah, for today that's all, right? So tomorrow we'll connect at the same time.